Today, I'd like to talk to you about the realities of the real estate market in the year 2025. Okay? So, right now, we all know that Nigeria has a huge housing deficit. In other words, there's a shortage of houses for the over almost 200 million people in Nigeria. Even though we see estates springing up, we see buildings, people buying land, people building, it's still not able to cater to the market. And what is the reason for this? If you check it really, you will find out that inflation is the major challenge. How so? The rise in the cost of materials, building materials. There was a time when people bought a bag of cement for 700 naira, for 1.5, for 2,000 naira. Today, a bag of cement is selling for as high as 11,000. So, what that does is that it will automatically translate in the final sale price or rental value of the property. Hope you know that cement is not only used for the building, maybe for the plastering, and it's also used to mold the blocks that are used for the building. So it's just a ripple effect. The iron rods, granites, sand, even the wires, the plumbing materials, everything has skyrocketed in price. There's this huge outrage right now in Lagos State. People and the residents complaining about hiking rental value, and the real estate agents and the landlords are trying to frustrate them. Now, here's the thing, and I really want to address this right now. I discovered that the real estate sector is the only one at the moment whereby people have not awoken or have refused to accept the realities of the inflation in the land. They've accepted the realities when it comes to medical services, medications, and so on. People, residents, citizens have accepted it when it comes to transportation. The inflation, when the transporters increase prices, people complain, but now everybody has adjusted. When it comes to food stuff, people have adjusted. When it comes to fuel, people have adjusted. But when it comes to real estate, people keep complaining. And instead of facing the facts and facing the reality, we shift the narrative and shift the blame to landlords and real estate agents. Now, I am an advocate for my own profession, and I believe so much in the role of the real estate agent, such that it won't be fair to just smear that profession and the practitioners within that industry. So let's look at it now. The agent doesn't have the right to determine prices. It is not his property. It is not his house. Today, what is even obtainable in the market, you find out that landlords don't even listen to real estate agents' suggestions. They already have what they want in their mind to do. So as an agent, you either do it or you leave it. But you also cannot fault a landlord when the initial, while he was planning to move to site, he had a budget of maybe say 10 million. But the reality he's faced with is what he was supposed to use 10 million to build. He's ending up using 50. Now, you will bear witness with me. Most customers or most clients, I'm talking to the real estate agents out there now, when you take them out for inspection, when you take them to see properties, everybody wants the finest house. Everybody wants the beautiful house. Everybody wants a new house. You take them to an old property, they'll tell you it's too old. It doesn't have POP. It doesn't have POP designs. Doesn't have screeded walls. Why are they still using terrazzo floors here? They want the screeded walls, they want tiles everywhere, they want the funny energy saving lights. And now those things cost money, because in today's market, no, it's not a poor man doesn't build any house anymore. The middle income man cannot build a house. So you take them to the new house that they want, and then they hear the rent, then they begin to get upset. Whose fault is that? We've spoken, people have complained, have spoken to the government, have talked about how they can reduce the cost of all these things. At the end of the day, nothing has been done. Everything is still as difficult as it has been. Okay? So the current reality is, if there is high housing hike, or there is a price hike in housing, it is not because of any individual or professionals. It is just the current situation of the economy caused by the depression that is being faced. If everything is fine, definitely the prices will adjust. But right now, things are not fine. Haven't you noticed that a lot of developers are packing up and hanging up? Sites are being shut down, not because they wanted to shut down, but because the funds, while they were selling to people off plan, while they were making their initial budgets, they never envisaged this level of inflation. So they have to end up shutting down to regroup and recalibrate. Some people who are buying off-plan projects, I'm sure many developers will have resent you new quotes or sent you some form of breakdown that and communicate that you ought to add some more money. It is not really their fault. It is the current reality and the current situation in the economy. Am I in support of exorbitant price hike or an extortion? Absolutely not. But I need to encourage us to sit down and reflect and understand what is going on in the housing sector. We've not adjusted to the fact that things are really expensive, and that is why the landlords are also increasing price. Somebody say, but when he built the house, he didn't use this amount of money to build it. Then the problem is the value of the currency has gone down. So, for instance, if the person was charging you 500,000 per annum, currently 500,000 per annum will not serve, because that same owner or that same landlord has other things he needs money for. And I need you to look at the real estate and look at the property or your rent as a return on an investment for a landlord. Are you with me? So your landlord will use out of that rent to pay school fees, use it to do another investment, use it to take care of bills and so on and so forth. The cost of bills are rising all around. Are you with me? So definitely there has to be a shift to meet up with current economic realities. Lawyers will bear me witness here. When they are drafting tenancy agreements, they will put it there that the rent we are asked to pay now, you are paying, is subject to change in line with current economic realities, which means it can go up and it can come down. If the economy is so good, then the rent should come down. But if the economy is not doing well, then the rent will keep going up to meet up and adjust. And that is what people face and see today, and then begin to express their frustrations. If you are not complaining because hospital bills have gone up, medication has gone up, you are not complaining because food has gone up, you are not complaining because transport has gone up, why then complain when housing value also goes up? For me, however, I believe that everything can have a remedy. And if you know me very well by now, you will find out that after I've given you a statement of a problem, I've tried to make an argument and make a case. I also try to provide a solution or two. And today, that is what I'm going to do. So let me give you one solution. Why I feel or how I feel this persistent rise in the housing sector can be curtailed. Yes, we've talked about regulation. Lagos state government, for instance, has talked about certain charges as illegal. So based on all these things I've said, all right, I've told you the reason. I've showed you some effects or shown you some effects of the inflation. Sites are shutting down, limited affordability. People can't afford housing anymore. Some people have to be moving to the suburbs now, and so on. Okay? How do we curtail this? Number one, I think it's time for the quality control, the building control, building regulation bodies, the planning authorities, the Ministry of Environment, whether federal or state, to look into alternative means for construction materials. Is it going to be red brick, red blocks, mold blocks? Does it have to be cement? And they should be able to allow it to fly in even prime areas. So for some places, people should be able to use some other materials that are not what we see today. Who says only blocks can build a house? There are places in Texas, there are places in the US, in Canada, where it's wood they use. Who says you can't begin to consider using containers to do one or two things? So we need to begin to look into alternative materials that can be used for building projects. Yes, cement is there. Yes, granite is there. But there are other things you can also mix. How come we are doing it for road construction? All of a sudden now, we are beginning to use much more of concrete roads and have drifted away from coal tar roads. If it can be done for such kinds of heavy construction projects, why can't it be done in the housing sector? So I'm calling and I'm speaking to all lawmakers, speaking to regulators, speaking to experts in the industry, public and private sectors, to look into it. What alternative means can we use in our construction and in our development? I'm not talking about cutting corners. I've seen a lot of developers do that, and that is absolute nonsense. But I'm talking about what will still, because at the end of the day, the building standards must be adhered to. Construction standards must be upheld. So definitely, all the regulatory bodies should come together and let's begin to look at what other alternative means can we use to build houses. This will go a long way in reducing the cost significantly. So I've told you one remedy already, which is using alternative means of construction, which are cost effective. Okay. Another one is to consider the government participation properly, because currently we have more of the private sector even doing things than the government. Now there has to be a proper, and that's why I appreciate what the Lagos state government is doing with the LSDPC. They have the Lagos state owned project, then they have Lagos state and private sector partnership. Okay. So we need a whole lot more of government intervention, not just in campaigns alone, not just during propaganda, no, but in fact and reality. Now, is the government doing things? Yes. But is everybody benefiting from it? No. Yes, we have NHF schemes. There's a whole lot of things that the government has put out there. But I believe more can be done if we sit down properly and look into it, so that the outcry, the complaints will reduce, and then real estate agents and other practitioners in the industry and landlords too will not be vilified the way they have been in the last couple of years.